Robert, thank you so much for sitting down with me this morning. I am really excited to dive into all things Fullpath and really hear more about you and the success that you are seeing with Fullpath CDP. So to kick it off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Garber Automotive?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the marketing director at Garber Automotive Group. We have 25 new car dealerships. We also have a used franchise. We have a bank and we own a hockey team. So a lot
No
going
kidding.
on. But we have an internal marketing team of 12 people. So I run that team. So most of what we do is in-house. So this is actually a rare scenario with Fullpath where we're doing something with a vendor in a big way. So
Okay. Wow, that's very cool. I didn't realize that.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
curious,
very.
this wasn't on the official interview questions, but I'm curious, from someone who was so used to doing everything in-house, what sort of like gave you that, I guess, mindset shift that like you really wanted to bring in a vendor to your
Well,
operation?
Well, we did it in house, and the one of the big things was like emails going to spam and open rates, click rates, all that kind of stuff. And Google got more strict on the rules, and we were, spending so much time trying to figure those things out. But the biggest thing with Fullpath was we found what you guys found is like, how do we target certain people, and the audience has to be a certain size, not so big. It needs to be small and targeted, and all those things. And we kept running into those roadblocks. So then when we
Mhm.
found Fullpath, we're like, oh my gosh, this solves almost all our problems.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
Sells itself.
yeah.
And Robert, you oversee the marketing on all 25 stores?
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay,
It's
very cool. So
all Garber's all centralized in-house, so marketing for everybody.
okay, that's very interesting. I think what one of the things that like we love about working with Garber, and that's been the reason this has been an interesting, I guess, use case for us is because Garber's a great representation of really like a large enterprise store where you sort of have a single source of truth, a single source of data operating across so many different spheres and so much data
Yeah.
coming in. So it's a really interesting sort of, I guess, case for us to break down. Um, I guess I would be curious. I mean, you spoke a little bit about it, but I'd be curious to hear like what are some of the key areas that you use Fullpath CDP, particular being a large enterprise operation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the biggest thing was connecting all the data, bringing it into one place. Like that was even a bigger key maybe than like the email marketing. It because it let us do so much more with the email marketing. But you guys have the traffic source report, which to me is huge as a marketer because I'm like I can see everything across the full plane of all the dealerships we have and obviously I know a lot of this stuff with GA4 and all that kind of stuff, but to have it into one place and you're pulling in CRM data, all that kind of stuff, like you can really find some good attribution, maybe some holes, all those kind of things. And then
Mm-hmm.
like as an auto group, not like specific to marketing, but as a whole group, you have the sales dashboard where you can see growth, retention, all those things. I mean, I think going into this year, retention's a big thing for us and probably a lot of dealerships. So it helps the store, but it helps me in marketing. So there's just a lot of valuable information and data.
I
Yeah.
think that, obviously, like, especially in your position, the most important thing that we can give ourselves really is the data. And then, sort of, when you're working across such a large operation, there's always that balance of like too mumuch data or data fatigue,
Oh,
really.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I'm curious to hear, like, how do you, in your position, sort of take in all the data, review all the different reports, and then actually use them to make like real business decisions and sort of like strategic ways to actually operate sort of your marketing team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, a lot of it is around the audience activation, like seeing the performance of the email campaigns. But to me, I'm like, I kind of, I like sending emails, I guess, like as a marketer, but how we look at it is like, what are we gaining out of it? Like, are we growing shoppers out of it? And if like it's
Mhm.
producing its own chunk of shoppers and people are engaging on the website, doing things on the website, we ultimately make sales from that. That is the biggest thing. And it is driving so much traffic that, how much would you pay for that traffic, in an ad or whatever it may be, organic SEO, whatever it may be. But this is creating a whole new subset of traffic to our website, and that is just going to sell us cars at the end of the day.
Absolutely. How are you sort of translating that information, if you are, to the rest of your team? Like, is it something that you're taking in yourself and using to make your own decisions? Are you sort of translating that back to other people? Do you have other people using the CDP with you on your
Yes.
team?
So on my team, a little bit, but not to the same level as the stores. Every store has an internet manager, and they're in here looking at the performance of it. They're doing research on each of the customers. We have, used car departments and new car departments looking at the inventory analysis, for example, and like kind of seeing like most of our traffic, any VDP views we get, third parties aside, all that, most of it's happening on our own website. And if they can see, like, are people looking at these cars? Are they submitting leads? And if not, like, what's going on? And they usually know, like, why. Like, they're like, I probably should have changed that price, or I bought that was the wrong car to buy, things like that. So I think it actually, yes, on the marketing team, we're looking at this data, we're presenting this data to the stores every single month. But I think on a bigger level, different people in different departments are starting to use it for different use cases. That's the strength of having all this data in there,
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I think that that's something that we find to be really helpful and unique, like on sort of that enterprise level, is that you're giving different people in their roles the access to the data in order to make their own decisions, right? So it's not only about the decisions that you in your position can make, but I guess the empowerment that you can give across different departments to sort of make those strategic decisions.
And I think I should say, like, you asked about how about my marketing team. Well, the thing about it is we did it in-house, and this actually made us worry about it less. Like, it took it out of our hands, and we had a platform that could kind of send the emails, manage the success of it, all those kind of things. We were doing that in-house. So if anything, it made us work a lot less for hopefully a better result.
Totally. How were you doing that in-house before? Like, was it literally just going through lists?
Very, very, very manual. Like we would have a designer come up with like all these. We actually were very, very involved. Like when we started it, we're like, we got to make like 5 to 10 templates per store for different use cases and export lists out of the CRM based on what we think. And we created a pretty like, not automated process at all, but at least a regular process that somebody managed and it was getting done, and we were sending a lot of emails. But we just ran into the same problems, of course, when the data's not connected and you can't, everybody wants to do email blasts at the dealership level, and we don't want to do that. We know it's not the smart thing. So we were managing it with a few different people on the team. And that's what I'm saying. Like, holy cow, did it save us so much time, because now we don't have those people in those weeds, basically. So
yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I think that particularly around AI and sort of adoption of these automated tools, there's almost like with that relief of like, okay, now I'm gonna have so much time left in my day, there also is transparently a little bit of fear around it. Like, what's my role sort of gonna look like when I, give the reins over to this automated software? And I'd love to hear about sort of your experience with that. Like, did that play into your sort of thoughts at all? And what does that really look like in real time?
Yeah, but not a fear. Not at all. Because
that's why you're a power user, right?
I'm like, AI is good if it can save me some time, because that means there's bigger things to be working on, right? I feel the same way about automation that I feel about AI. Like, automation should not be feared, because if it's something that can be automated, it's repetitive, it's something that can be done in that way. So that means there's other things going on that we got to take care of that can't be automated, So same thing with the AI. Like, I'm like, if it can put something in front of me, information, data, whatever it may be, to get me quicker to where I want to go, I'm going to take that path. So
absolutely,
no fear at all.
I love that. Well, I think that's where you really see the magic, right? Like, when you sort of are able to embrace it. And I think what's awesome for you guys is like, you're kind of coming from this place of grit where you are really in the details and you are used to doing the manual work, and then you sort of have a platform that's working together with you, like more in like symbiosis. I think that there's so much opportunity there for continued growth. I guess I'll use that sort of to transition. I mean, we spoke a little bit about, the success that you're seeing with audience activation. Audience activation obviously is our automated system for sending personalized real-time SMS and and emails at scale, which is obviously the key for you guys here. With audience activation, right, there's the sort of automated side of it that's happening, that's pulling in your data and happening behind the scenes automatically. And then there's also the custom campaign functionalities. Is that something that you guys rely on, like to create your own custom campaigns and sort of work from that angle at all? And if yes, I'd love to hear about your experience with that.
Well, we use it a little bit. I think there's still a need for that. You have events and special offers that the dealership is doing, certain promotions that obviously don't fall into the standard templates and things like that. I think we see a lot more success because the alternative is horrible, right? Send it out of the CRM, 1% open rate, maybe 15 if you're lucky, and then the click rate is nothing or you can't track it. So I think, honestly, it's really easy because partly it uses AI to create subject lines and email templates, and you can insert graphics. And honestly, when we do it, we create it all from scratch ourselves and import the HTML because when we did it in-house, we did it through code. So it's nice that exists too. So I think it's like, hey, we'll still give you a way to reach people with other things outside of the campaigns we think will be like your bread and butter. But we're still going to make sure enough people see it and open it and click on it. So definitely a great tool.
That's awesome. We kind of covered like a bunch of different ways where you're seeing, hopefully the real impact in your day to day. If you could sort of sum up with like one of your biggest wins, like personally, what would you say, Robert, is your biggest sort of success since bringing Fullpath in?
Well, for my team, if I'm looking at it that way, we had 20, 30 hours a week wrapped up into email marketing. And it got harder and harder to show ROI on it, right? Because, Google with spam blockers and things like that, like no matter how much effort. So to make sure that doesn't happen, you put more time and effort into it, and now you're spending more and more time. So how far can you go before the ROI is like not returning like you want it to be? So for us, I'm like, you saved us 20, 30 hours a week. How much time and money value is that, So
For sure.
significant for me personally for my team's time.
Yeah, of course. And like, of course, what's cool about that is it trickles down to everyone, right? Like you're seeing it, okay, now I have 12 different people who have 20, 30 more hours, and then they're seeing it also for themselves. Like it gives them that opportunity to really open up new windows for themselves of sort of different areas that they can focus on.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
I guess sort of to just wrap it up, if you were speaking right now with a dealer who is kind of as we stand at this, cusp of AI and more automation and all that, if you were speaking with a dealer who's sort of like on the fence and still really weighing it out, what would you sort of say to them to really shift them over the edge?
Yeah, to me, it's like, how are you getting in front of these customers? You only sell 10% of your internet leads. How many phone calls do you actually convert? Yada, yada. You have all this information in your CRM and your DMS. And what are you doing about it? You probably don't have anybody working on it. And I think we found a significant amount of the ROI was actually with customers we've never sold a car to before. I think the idea is you connect the CRM and you're just sending a message to your current customer base, feeding the same thing to the same person. They were going to buy a car anyway. Well, what we found is over half of them, brand new customers. So it's definitely not like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You are reaching new people because you're not always selling all the leads you get. And think about how much money you're spending on advertising. If you're spending tens of thousands of dollars every month driving a bunch of traffic, you're getting a bunch of leads. Well, you're not converting them all. And so what is happening? It's a gold mine. It really is. And I think people are stuck in like it's only your current customers. No, there's so many. Most of them are not customers. They're just potential people that you never sold. Right. So to me, that's been the biggest win because it's a lot of the ROI that we see.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I think it's interesting, like literally on our dashboard, right? We refer to all of that, I guess, traffic as shoppers, right? We're not referring to them as customers because at the end of the day, like you said, they are just people who are shopping and interested and looking around, and sort of if you don't capture them, someone else will because they're going to buy the car regardless.
Yeah.
So it's about really
And
opening
how
up that opportunity.
and again, it's about the money a little bit. You know, you spend so much money to get them there into your CRM, and then we do nothing with them, and we go chase a new one. How much money are we spending on the new one? We already have a customer, a piece of data. We know what they're looking at. Let's
Totally.
sell that customer, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Robert, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. The reason that we do this is because we really hope that it helps other people in your position, sort of learn from your experiences and you see what your team is doing with Fullpath, and hopefully we'll give them the ability to do the same. So thank you. We appreciate it. You've been a great partner for us. And we're just genuinely glad that you're seeing such amazing success.
It's been great.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll see you soon.